kind of environment. I want to talk about sex because I wrote a book about it. And if you ever really want to learn a lot about something, write a book about it. Because not only do you do a lot of research in writing a book, but then afterwards everybody thinks you're an expert. And that's a burden, and so you keep learning and learning and learning. And I'm sure that Dave has had the same experience. You write Double Your Dating, you knew a couple of things, and you did some good research. I mean, it was a good book. But what you know now is man transformation. I mean, it just gets bigger. And because I think it's the theme of the show, I want to talk about your happiness, your satisfaction with your own life, the juice you're getting out of life. And I kind of want to start with a couple of questions because I want to get to know who you guys are. I'm kind of curious about the age of the group. It's a really eclectic group. How many guys here are under 20? Is there anybody here under 20? Just a couple. Wow, you guys, what an advantage you're going to have in life. Yeah. Thank you for starting that clap. 20s and 30, 20 to 30? Okay, that's most of the group right there. That's interesting. So you guys are in your 20s. 30s to 40s? Oh no, maybe that's most okay. Yeah, you've done this. I don't think they heard it quite. Do it again. 30s to 40s? In your 20s. Guys in the 20s. Guys in the 30s. Yeah, that's an even breakdown, I'd say. Guys in the 40s? Me too. Anybody here above 50? Wow, just men. Spectacular. Okay, I expected it to be a group in their 20s, but you guys are all over the map, which is cool. So in this eclectic ranging group, I want to know, it's kind of fallen out of fashion, it's sort of quaint and nobody really, digs it anymore, but who believes in true love? Soulmates, the real deal. Nice, about half, okay. And now if you would, write a couple of things down because I'm going to kind of bring it back at the end. I'm curious about what your answers are, just hold them for yourself at the moment. What, in your estimation, is the single most important thing that you would need to attract women, to attract the ultimate woman, to get your total 10? What is it that a guy needs to attract women? What's the most important tool or the most important quality for you to have? And when you're done writing that down, what makes great sex? What's the most important thing for really great sex to happen? Woody Allen said, even bad sex is pretty good. But I mean, what does it take to make great sex? What do you think would just really knock it up? A good-looking woman? Yeah? What would make it great for her? How's that? Wow. I need you guys to write my material. And now we're going to take the big level. What is the most important thing for you to have? What quality, what tool, what aspect, what accomplishment to make your life completely fulfilling and happy? What would just really, I'm doing a lot of that. It works. So about 200 years ago, a woman named Mary Shelley wrote a book called Frankenstein, the Modern Prometheus. And we all know the story about Frankenstein. This guy, Victor Frankenstein, he's a scientist, which was a new thing back then. Science was kind of like this new thing. The empiricists had just come up with this idea, and all this new stuff was being discovered. And he combined it with the old practices of alchemy and magic, and he put all this stuff together, and he realized he could make life. And so he went to the cemeteries, and he dug up the dead bodies, and he stitched all this rotting flesh together, and, he pulled the switch and let there be life. And the monster opens its eyes. And in that moment, Victor Frankenstein realizes, what have I done? I've created a monster. And he runs out of the room. Lots of terrible things happen. And, we know the rest is horror, Hollywood, and it's a story that's lasted a long time. Well, I guess about, 10, 15 years ago, a group of really, really smart men started this thing where they started applying anthropology and primate zoology and evolutionary psychology to dating, to attracting women. I mean, this was like taking the mind and saying, wait a minute, I can figure this out. There are certain responses. We are animals, we're primates. So maybe I can reverse engineer this. I can figure out exactly what it is that makes this attraction thing work, and I can master it. The results were unbelievable. Works. One of these guys, was David D. But somewhere along the line, to some degree, they created a monster. And I've been observing this as an outsider, not part of the community, and not a pickup artist, but I know a lot of guys who, who say, I'm a pickup artist, I'm going to teach you how to do the same. And I've been observing this for a long time now. I'm kind of close with some of these guys, and I think one of the elephants in the corner that nobody seems to be addressing is some of these students of these guys, and in fact, some of these guys, from my point of view as just the normal guy on the outside, seem to be kind of emotionally damaged. The monster. So there's a bunch of guys who are dating gurus. Some of them are up on this stage, and most of these guys are very cool guys. I know a lot of them, and they're cool guys who have a lot of really great information to share. There's a lot of other guys out there as well who are probably really cool. I haven't met them all, but a certain percentage of these guys seem a little off to me. And I'm probably going to get lynched when I get out there, because I know I'm kind of going against the current here a little bit. But I think it's important for you, in choosing the guy you want to follow, when you watch what's going on up here, to find somebody who you really believe has their life together. Honestly, everybody who's up on this stage and who are doing these programs, they get a lot of chicks. They sure can go to a bar and get some phone numbers. But what is their level of personal satisfaction and happiness in their life? It's an important question to ask, and it's very, very critical to ask, especially if this is something you're interested in someday. Do these guys have an authentic, powerful, connected, admirable, normal relationship with a woman? Do they have the kind of relationship you ultimately want? I mean, that seems like something you might want to look into. So it turns out, like, I'm certainly not going to single anybody out, because a lot of the guys up here are just top-notch, well, honestly, David wouldn't have put them up there if they weren't, really, really cool guys. But there's a lot of material floating around out there, and I happen to know, I was one of the guys who presented here, who I think is a phenomenal human being, and you can learn so much from it. I was out to dinner with him, and I will not name names, and he said to me, Alex, I wish I could have a normal relationship, but I can't. Because every time I'm out with a woman, I know everything she's doing wrong. I know too much. I'm like, oh, yeah, now she's going to say that because she's going to validate herself to me. And yeah, oh, see, this is that thing that every woman does. Now she's going to do that. I'm going to, of course, say this because I know it works. And, of course, it will work. And she'll come home with me. And I'm not going to have any respect for her because she's like every other woman because, this is what happens. And then she's going to do that and the other thing. And, man, that's boring. And I thought, you poor bastard. So I caution you. I plead with you. Do not become weird or weirder in pursuit of perfecting the 3 to 30 minutes at the beginning of a relationship. It is not worth it. Now, I said this recently to a world-famous pickup artist. Again, I will not mention names. And he said to me, yeah, but those are the most important 3 to 30 minutes. Because without that 3 to 30 minutes, nothing else follows, right? I mean, this is the make it or break it. If I don't perfect this 3 to 30 minutes, she will never have an opportunity to know me, and I will never have an opportunity to know her. Nothing else will transpire. Okay, so that's wrong. That's wrong. And it could only be stated by somebody who has never had a serious emotional connection with a woman. It's ignorant. It's somebody who just, they've never been there. They don't know. Because the fact is, when you really meet your total 10, your total 10, it's inevitable. You can screw up. You can screw up a lot in that first 3 to 30 minutes. And, you know, because she's kind of the girl for you and you're kind of the guy for her. And it's not like you're going to make a mistake and everything's going to explode. It really isn't. It's not like that at all. I mean, it would be great if you were super smooth that night, but even if you weren't, it doesn't matter that much. It is far from the most important moment in the relationship. The beginning is, you know, I mean, yeah, it's cool if you're cool, and it's cool if you're not. What happens, like I said with this other guy who I had dinner with, is you can become too self-analytical and too self-critical as a consequence. If you learn enough of this stuff, you'll be thinking about this stuff instead of doing what I just heard Dave talking about. It's like the most important lesson in all of life, which is being present. You're not present when you're like, okay, I got to remember, I got to do this thing. Whatever I do, I've got to remember to be present. That's not being present. Learning this stuff can be dangerous. It can make you weird. It can screw you up. And if it does, if it makes you self-conscious and too self-analytical and not organic, gentlemen, the price is too high. It is not worth it. Because you are cheating yourself out of the very best part of being human. You've engineered the good part. The good part, the part where you get the butterflies in your stomach, you walk up to her and you're like, wow, you know, and you say all these dumb things, and you're like, God, I can't believe I said that. And she's like, yeah, that was pretty stupid. And, you know, right, you know, like in a movie. And it happens that way, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. But if you know too much, you could miss it. You could be busy thinking about what you're thinking about when you're thinking about it. And that's not present. So it's been brought to my attention. I'm a guy in my 40s, so forgive me, I didn't know this all along, but there's something called a video game walkthrough. And for those of you that don't know what that is, it's this little hack. It's a little piece of software that you can get that lets you beat the video game without having to acquire the skills necessary to beat it. So you download this little thing, and I guess you put it in your Xbox or your whatever, and then you play the game, but you're invincible. You can just, you know, beat all the bad guys and whatever and get through all the levels, and nobody can touch you, and then you win. Why is that fun? What did you get the game for? I mean, if you can just beat it, why is that fun? I don't get it. I mean, I guess there's that curiosity. That's what does it look like on the other side thing, right? It's the shortcut just to see what's on the other side. It's the helicopter to the top of Mount Everest. And look, I guess if it was possible to take a helicopter to the top of Mount Everest, I'd do it. I want to, you know, I would do it. See what's up there, sure. I mean, I get the curiosity factor. I get it because it works and you do it and you're up there and wow, I'm the highest point in the world. It's amazing. But don't kid yourself. You have not climbed a mountain. Lessons are learned on the face of the mountain. The climb. It's the journey that counts. I'm telling you. And if I could get it through to you, that would be a big win for me. Don't get trapped in just doing what works. Okay? The pickup artist stuff works. I got this guy coming at me. He's coming at me. It could have been a guy with a gun or a bomb, or I don't, you know. I'm saying the bad stuff. The guys who come up here and are teaching you, you know, this line, and she'll say, Dad, you'll do this, and, you know, and it works. I can't lie to you, it works. I've actually gone to bars with these guys. It works. They could get 30 phone numbers in 30 minutes. And if you learn something that works, it's very, very hard to stop doing it. We become addicted to what works. I've had a couple of friends that were exotic dancers, and they become addicted to what works. So, girl becomes a dancer because she's trying to put herself through school. And if she becomes a waitress, she makes $5 an hour, and she becomes a dancer, she can make $500 an hour. It's a no-brainer, man. At 18, it just seems like, duh. Well, then she graduates college, and, you know, the world is her oyster, and there's all these companies that are willing to give her $1,000 a week for an intro position that's going to grow. But $1,000 a week is hard when you're used to earning $5,000 a week. They become addicted to what works, and predictably, it destroys their life. Do not become addicted to what works. Consider that many things work, and that you need to apply some self to this and decide what is really best for me, what's going to work best for me personally, what's going to be me. And there are ethics to what works. Is this ethical? You know, this works, but am I being deceptive? Is she going to find out later that I'm not this cool guy, that I'm this different guy, who, by the way, she may have found just as cool or cooler, but it's easier to pretend, it's easier. But the most critical reason why you have to be careful of just doing what works is because there's this open-ended question that I don't have the answer to, and I don't think anybody does yet, because this is a new science, this pickup stuff. Can a real relationship emerge from an engineered interaction? I don't know, but I haven't seen it. I have not yet seen it. Another part of the problem here is that it propagates a very immature piece of all of us, something that we all, we thought at one time or another. And through the process of relationships, we build emotional maturity and we grow through this stage. But, before puberty, the girls are kind of yucky. They're not that interesting. They're not very good athletes. They don't like to play the games we like to play. Barbies are boring and they're yucky. What's cool about that? And then one day, just like in pre-puberty, somewhere in there, we're like, she has something I want. Why did only the women laugh at that? That was creepy. There's this moment where, like, she has something I want, and I'm not friends with her, and this is going to be kind of weird, because I don't even think she likes me, and I don't like her, but she's got that thing I want. And we have this, like, sense, like, the girl is the obstacle to the pussy. Don't tell me you never thought it. In fact, I heard a joke. Unfortunately, it's a funny joke. I didn't want it to be funny, but many of you probably heard it. What's that fleshy stuff around the outside of the vagina called? A woman. Thank you, a woman, right. Yeah, it's funny because we've all been there. That was a little part of ourselves when we were kids. And then, eventually, it's got to be eventually that when you grow up, that you're not pursuing pussy. It's got to be that you're pursuing a woman. It's got to be. That's growing up. And if you fail that test, guess what? You didn't grow up. So, this is another problem, because we think with words. We think with words. There's a philosophy called semiotics, which basically digs into this idea that words aren't the real thing. Words are just signs and symbols for the real thing. The word chair is not this thing, it's just a word. But we know when I say chair, you think that, and that makes sense. And then there's that NLP thing where we say, well, we think in words. We use words to think, right? It's in the words themselves that we form our thoughts. And so the words that you use consistently have unbelievable power over you. They control what you're capable of and what you're not capable of, and what you like and what you don't like, because some words just have a negative spin on them. And this has been used, in military institutions. The enemy, there's always some racial slur for the enemy, because you can't call them enemy soldier. You can't call them enemy soldier because I'm a soldier. And if he's an enemy soldier, then he's some kind of thing like I am, because I'm a soldier too, and killing us just sucks. So they're the gooks or the slants in Vietnam or whatever. And the Nazis did the same thing with the Jews. They had all these books to show that the Jews were just some other form of primate, but they weren't human, so it would be easier to kill them. So now, when you go out and you refer to women as targets, hey, man, when you start building this language, they become dehumanized. There's a whole code system for rating a woman you meet. She was an HB9. You heard this in HB8, this kind of thing? She's a target. There's sets, obstacles, and all this kind of thing. And then we have our wingman. What's a wingman? It's that guy that keeps you safe when you're flying into enemy territory. And if you don't think this affects the way you think, you are dead wrong. It does. This is what goes on in your head, and it affects who you are. It affects who you are. And I would go so far as to say that if you consistently think of women not as people or women or your potential lover, but if you consistently think of them as target, obstacle, this kind of thing, then you are really living in a world where the woman is the obstacle to the pussy, and you will never, ever, I mean, this will make it impossible to ever have a loving relationship with a woman. And it's hard enough already. It's already hard because we don't really communicate that well with each other. You know, there's all these men are from Mars, women are from Venus, and we don't communicate that well. And tell a quick story. I was in a huge fight with my girlfriend. I mean, just one of those really killers. And it got to the point where we were so angry with each other, we knew if this kept going, we were going to say things that couldn't be unsaid. And we love each other very much, and we just said, okay, let's take some time apart and regroup. I walked out down the sort of main strip where I live, and as I was walking, our mutual friend Christian Carter gave me a call. I was speaking at his seminar that week, and he said, hey man, I'm walking down on the strip here, and I was wondering if you want to grab some lunch. And I was like, oh, thank God, you know, some shoulder to cry on, a friendly face. I mean, I was just really down. And so we went to the Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf and, you know, sat down, had a little drink, and he listened to me while I was going, God, she's crazy. She's crazy. I don't know what to do anymore. Women are all crazy. I think Dave was talking about that time of the month when they developed, I forget exactly how you put it, there's a cerebral interaction with the hormonal imbalances of their body that produces an effect that we lack a good vocabulary to refer to, and sometimes the way it manifests itself out of our mouth is the word crazy. Hey, I'll be here all week. Yeah. That was you. So I'm like, they're crazy, women are all crazy, and I'm ranting, and just at that moment I realized, you know, when you're sitting at a restaurant, you're back to back with somebody else, they're like an inch away, and I turn around and notice that there's this woman sitting at the table behind me, and you can tune in and you know that they're listening, you know when somebody's tuned into your conversation. And I sighed and I realized, this is not good. I turned around and I said, you know, except for you, you're not crazy. The rest of them, but not you. And she said, oh, no, we're all crazy. And that felt good, I was like, you are a prophet. I love you. Would you come home with me and tell my girlfriend that? She doesn't believe me when I say it. And just at that moment, we're all laughing and having fun. I'm feeling this incredible sense of relief. Just at that moment, my girlfriend walks by. And I panic, you know, I'm like, because if she sees me laughing and having fun when we're in the middle of this big fight, I'm cooked. So I hold my breath, and she walks. She's on the phone, the cell phone, and she walks right by, doesn't see us. And I'm like, breathe this big sigh of relief. And I said, oh my God, that was her, that was my girlfriend. And the girl says, that was your girlfriend that just walked by? And I said, yeah. She's like, you're a jerk. All women are crazy. And all men are jerks. It's true, you know, it's true. So it's hard. It's hard already. Don't make it worse. We don't communicate well. And here's the reality. When you find your perfect 10, this really amazing woman, you're going to fight. You're going to fight, and it's going to suck sometimes. And in our world of everything is supposed to be perfect for me, it's easy to just say, obviously she's not the one for me. That is immature. It takes some work. You know that you're with the one, you know you're with her when it's worth the fights, when it's worth the bullshit. That's how you know, when it's worth it. All right, so let's talk about sex. Something I know about. I don't know about this other stuff. Look, we're always going to fight, right? And sex is one of the things that makes it worth it. Great sex, connected sex, when you just, God, you know, want to claw her skin off sex. It makes it worth it. We connect somewhere in there. And you can't really overestimate the importance of sex in your relationships. You just can't. Because it is the defining difference between your friends and your lover. I have a lot of very close female friends. I am blessed to have the women I have in my life. Women who are brilliant and warm, and I can cry in their arms when I need to, and they know everything about me and accept me anyway, even all the crap about me. And I have a very, very intimate relationship with these women. They're very, very close in my life, and I love them. And then, you know, I have my lover. What defines the difference there? Well, in my heart, a lot defines the difference. I know the difference. I feel the difference. But to an outside observer, the defining characteristic of difference there is the sex. I'm only having sex with my lover. So it's pretty key. And I believe that it's actually in this sex that something happens, that we communicate something. That words aren't that good for communication a lot of times, particularly about matters of intimacy. And sometimes touch is really the only way that we can connect with a woman in ways that otherwise we feel like idiots. We just can't get it out of our mouths, you know. But in sex, it's like, it just works. We can talk, we can touch, we can talk. It's in the making love.